Hey, good morning, everybody. Oh my goodness. Do you realize it's December 13th? We only have two more team calls before the end of the year. So crazy. Um, but yes, welcome. And we're so excited to have a special guest with us today. Our upline, our mama in our bond, ERVP, Kathe Ray. So excited. I don't know about you though. Did you guys listen in or did you tune into the the nation meeting when Kathe spoke? She did a training on 30 days.
I did.
Wasn't it phenomenal?
I did.
I just left
Yes.
like wanting more. So that's why I just couldn't stop thinking like, man, I just want to hear more from Kathe and just kind of dig in. And also just, kind of use this as a Q&A time. For we have so much going this month and I know sometimes it feels December can be like a little bit of a different kind of month. Wouldn't you agree, Kathe? Historically, um, and I just want us to be able to realize that. Hold on. Here, we'll mute that for a second. I just want us to realize that it doesn't matter. Like one off day or one off week doesn't need to take out the whole month. You know what I mean? Like we can still have a really successful month. And oftentimes in December, what I've found is that week between Christmas and New Year's is when we get like flooded. And so this is our time to like build up, for that week really, and the 30 days to healthy living, because that is our biggest portion of Arbonne now, and I believe that's how we all came into Arbonne, right? And decided to commit to this business. And that's the majority of people coming into Arbonne. It's because of their transformation and their experience with the 30-day plan. So this is our opportunity to build for that and to hold our belief and hold our focus that all of these daily reach outs are going to lead up to that last week of December and helping people get healthy. So anyway, I just want to dig into and piggyback on what or just dig in a little further to what Kathe was training about. Maybe we'd love to hear maybe a little bit from you, Kathe, your background and some takeaways from being in Arbonne so long, and then let's dig in to the 30-day training and maybe open it up for Q&A and just work through some things that maybe some obstacles we've been bumping up against. So just so appreciate you. Kathe's in Higgins Lake right now at her cottage house. So this is so gracious of her to spend some time with us. Thank you. Oh, you're not muted. But we don't hear you. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. They were acting weird. So, all right. So first I want to say, I'm sorry I have such bedhead and a sweatshirt. When we came up here for the weekend, I didn't exactly bring clothes to be on video. And I did find a lipstick in my bag, which was nice.
My shirt is on inside out, just so you know.
Okay, good. So we're all being real here this morning. Yeah. So yeah, we're up at we have a little house up here on Higgins Lake. So I'm up in your kind of neck of the woods, I think, Melissa. You're a little farther north than me, I think, though. But anyway, I was thinking yesterday was my baby daughter turned 20 yesterday. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And I thought back to, after Tammy asked me to talk on this call, I thought back to that 2 years ago on her birthday, she signed up to be an Arbonne consultant. She wanted to be an Arbonne consultant since she was 12. I mean, I was doing Arbonne before she was born. So she was born into the Arbonne culture. I've been doing Arbonne for over 23 years. So she was just so excited, and probably a month before she turned 12, she had her plan written out, what she was going to do once she launched her business. And I'll tell you, she went to a couple presentations with me before she became a consultant. I love that, a junior urban consultant. I love that. She went to some presentations with me. I mean, she's been immersed in Arbonne, but and I had her do some practice things before she turned 18. But when she turned 18, I said, you know what, you got to do this on your own. You can't build your business and have people look at you and say, well, your mom did it for you. You know, your mom's an RVP, and she just did it. That's how you got to be where you are, is because your mom. And she agreed. So I said, unless I'm going to treat you just like I would any other consultant on my team, of course you can call me, of course I'll do a three-way with you, of course I'll do all those things, but I'm not going to build your business for you. So she did between December 12th and December 31st of that year, she did over 6,000, almost $7,000 to become a new district manager. And the reason I'm telling you that is because December 12th was yesterday. So if an 18-year-old who has really no real experience in Arbonne, and has a bunch of friends who, at the time, she was in high school. She was a senior in high school when she turned 18, and so she was one of the oldest of her friends. So I remember she had her first Arbonne presentation, and she invited a bunch of her friends over to my basement, and I just kind of sat there and I said a couple of things, but afterwards I asked, so who's 18? One person raised their hand. So she didn't even have anybody really. She was preaching to a bunch of people who were like, yeah, I want to do Arbonne, but I got to talk to my mom and see if she'll do this, So she had a hard road. She actually invited a couple of her teachers over, and things like that. So she had to work really hard and think out of the box, because the normal circle that she was in was not even Arbonne eligible at that time. They could buy Arbonne, but they couldn't sign up. They couldn't, she couldn't actually build. So the reason that I told you that story is that you have such an opportunity for December, and there's lots of time left. I mean, there's just as much time left for you right now. If you were starting at ground zero, you could do phenomenal things. I saw, I have a district manager who was $4,000 away from going into area qual 3 days before the end of the month, and she made it. So that was over $4,000 that she did in 3 days, at the end of the month in December. So December is kind of this weird month, as Tammy was saying. We have these holidays going on, but at the same time, either people are super busy or people are not busy at all. And it goes from day to day. So there's a lot of time. I've been doing a lot of uh, one-on-one and two-on-one Zooms, from what I talked about on the call on last Monday night on the 501(c)(3)s, the giving back donations. And if you weren't on that call, just a brief overview. What I've been doing is I'm connected to several groups on Facebook, or even not. I'm reaching now, not on Facebook. If you're connected to a group that's a 501(c)(3), you can reach out to them. And what I've been doing is say, hey, are you still trying to raise money this year, for this, this calendar year? And there's not one that said, oh no, we're done raising money. And so I'll say, well, I have an opportunity for you to raise money. And this is how I lay it out, is say, I do these 30-minute Zoom calls. And for each person that you get on the Zoom call, I'm going to donate $5 to your organization. So if you got 10 people on one of these Zooms, not, like one, or, one here, two here, three here, that's going to be $50 toward your foundation, or your, whatever the donation. And I said, and you don't, literally, you don't have to do anything except encourage people to attend the Zoom calls. And they're like, really? That's it? And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And so, because I feel that once I get somebody on a Zoom call and I do one of these 30-minute healthy living calls, that the information makes so much sense that if nothing else, they're probably going to sign up as a preferred client and get a few products. And then I have this person now that I can drip on and drip on and drip on, because they're part of my organization. And that's what I've been finding. I've been doing one person. I had a husband and wife. I've had a lady and her friend. I've had a lady and her mom and her sister. And at the very least, they've signed up with a 150 order. So, and then what I tell the foundation is that if anyone signs up, that I will donate a portion of my commission. So that's the amount that if you get a Tuesday check from Arbonne from someone's order, I'll give a portion of that also to the foundation. So I want to make it worthwhile to the foundation to get, and that's what's happened is the people that are at the head of the foundations are really getting excited about it and really talking to people. And so they're going to, and I put it out there, please send this out to people that you know. It doesn't have to just be people that are attached to the foundation, but it can be your friends, your family, your neighbors. And so my whole intent was that I want to get out of my circle. I've been with Arbonne 23 years. My circle is, there's like, they're Arbonne, they're whoever is going to be Arbonne, they're already Arbonne, right? So I really wanted to reach out and get into a much wider circle. And what this is doing is bringing me people all over the country, because people know people. Then I did a couple in Montana, uh, and that kind of stuff. So it's really gotten me, and I do have a couple that haven't done anything yet. They're like, yeah, I really do want to wait until after the new year. But what it's done is now I have new people on my prospect list, which we all know that it can take. I mean, it took me a while to figure out I wanted to do anything with Arbonne. So I'm like, I'm going to give them grace and say, yeah, I'm not going to push you, but it's also given fresh blood to my prospect list. So it's real simple. I would, if it were me, and this is what I did, is I sat down and I made a list first on Facebook of all of the um, different organizations that I knew of, that I was a part of in a group. Like I'm in a couple of adoption groups, where they raise money to help adoptive families. Um, and I just make sure that they have a 501(c), so it's a legitimate organization. And then I reach out to the person who is at the head of the organization. And typically in Facebook, that's the person that runs the group. And then I send them a private message and just ask the question, are you still looking to raise funds for this year? Now, I will continue this in January and I'll say something like, hey, what are your fundraising goals for 2021? And are you interested in a way to raise funds? And when I get back a positive response, which all of those, I have not gotten a negative response yet, then I'll say, okay, this is what I do. This is what I have to offer you. So I'm not trying to sell them. What I have is something that there is going to be good for them. So it's an offer. I have an offer for you, to help you raise funds. Um, and I'll just say I do 30-minute Zoom calls. I teach about healthy living. I have products to sell. And what I'm going to donate to you is for each person that gets on one of these Zoom calls. Now they have to listen to the whole Zoom call and participate in the discussion at the end. That's really important because you don't want just somebody saying, well, get 10 people on and then they all get off, or they're on for 5 minutes. Well, I had somebody on. It's like they have to be, that's the requirement. I put it out there, is they need to be on for the full presentation and take part in the discussion afterwards, because that's important. That's when you're going to ask them the questions. And they're going to ask you questions and etc. So, and then I just say for every person that takes part, that listens to the full presentation and takes part in the discussion afterwards, I will donate $5 to your foundation. And for me, that $5, Tom and I used to own several brick and mortar businesses, and the many thousands of dollars that I spent on advertising for my business was insane. Like if you guys actually knew how many tens of thousands of dollars that I spent on advertising with zero return on investment, with not one person walking, because you would never know. I mean, an advertiser, you might do $1,000 worth of advertising in a month, and you might get two new customers in. So I would look at, okay, I spent $500 each on those two customers just to get them to walk in my door. We don't do that with Arbonne, but this is a little way of us being able to actually advertise our business. And for such a minuscule amount, I think so far in December, I have donated like $65. But I look at what I've gotten and it's just incredible. And I think it's such such a great return on investment that I just wish we would have had this back in the salon days. This was awesome. So, look at that. And then because I'm donating to a 501(c)(3) at the end of their year, I will get a coupon for a tax not a coupon, but a form so that I can do a tax write-off. So it'll actually be able to come as an expense on your business taxes or your personal taxes, however you're set up. So, so the main thing that this is doing, one, it's building your business by giving back to others, which is so Arbonne that it's not even funny. Like, this is why we exist, I think, is so we can do, I have this little group, be more, have more, so you can do more and so you can give more. So, and that's kind of our philosophy, is the more we do, the more we have, the more we can give back to others. It's really hard to support some of these foundations and these charities if we're struggling to pay our bills, right? So this way we can start small, $5 per person, and you have the ability to cut this off whenever you want to. And you kind of see the rewards almost immediately. So if the first one I did, I put it out to a lady and she said, well, I want to get on one first. And that's something that you can offer too. I'll do one with you first. I'll donate the $5 for you getting on, so you know what you're inviting other people to. So I said, okay, why don't I do one with you on Sunday? I think it was a week ago today. No, it was on a Friday. So it was almost like 10 days ago. And so I said, okay, Katie, why don't we do one on Friday? And you can see what it's all about. I'll donate $5 and then we can go from there. So she got on, she signed up as a preferred client. The next day, she said, I want your website. I want to take a look at this a little bit more. And she went in, and this is so funny. And this is also a learning curve for all of us. She went in and put a $149.80 order. Like, she was 20 cents away. And I was just like, oh, I have to remember, don't put it in order. It's like all these things you remember. Don't put it in order. Let me look at it first to make sure you're not missing out on any goodies, kind of thing. But she went in, and then she went into the group and she's like, hey guys, Kathe's offering this, blah, blah, blah. It's really great. And so on. So it gives you, it just gives you somebody that's kind of working for them. They're working for them, but they're also working for you at the same time. So it's truly a win-win for, and which is what I'll tell you, I've not seen Arbonne businesses grow to major heights that it wasn't a win-win. Does that make sense? So this is a true win-win, where I can't tell you, uh, it's been so gratifying to me to see the number of new people that I have now in my funnel, uh, that I will be sending thank you notes. I'm getting, oh, and that's the other thing. I forgot to say this on the Monday call, is I get people's, even if they don't sign up right away, I get their name, their telephone number, their email, and their address. And I let them know, for the ones who say, I'm not sure about this. Like, I just got a message. I did one on Friday this week, and I just got a message yesterday, and she said, I don't think I can do anything with Arbonne right now, but I really appreciate the information. Well, I have all of her, her address and everything. So on Monday when I get home, I'm going to send her a thank you card, and I'm going to put a fizz stick in it. And I'm just going to say, I just really appreciate your time being on the call. I love talking about Arbonne, and I definitely am going to donate the $5 for you being on the call to the foundation. And here's a little fizz stick, one of the fizz sticks that I was talking about, on the call. And I look forward to, talking to you more about it in the future when the time is right. Something like that. So if you get their information and just say, I might send you a little something, as kind of a fun little thing. And so that way you have all their information, of their email, and you can connect with them on Facebook and say, I'd love to connect with you all on Facebook with that. Would you mind that? And everybody said, sure. So I'll send them a friend request and they'll accept me. So now I'm gaining all these new friends too. At that point too, I can also say, hey, if you're not interested, and this is what I'm going to say to my friend, I have not responded to the text that she sent me, my new friend, yesterday, but I'm going to say, would you mind if I added you to, we have this great VIP group on Facebook called Healthy Mind, Body, and Skin. And it's really fun. And sometimes we do little contests, and we do little giveaways, and we learn a lot about the Arbonne products. Would you mind if I added you to that? And I'm sure she's going to go, yeah, add me. So, we have all these different, once you have somebody as a prospect, now you have all these avenues where you can drip, drip, drip. And again, Tammy and I were on a cruise, an Arbonne cruise, several years ago, and I'm sure it hit Tammy the way it hit me. But Arbonne always does one afternoon where we all get together as a group and they do some training or whatever. Well, in this particular one, they had all these brand new MVPs that were MVP that in the last year. And there was a whole stage full of them. And they asked them all a question: how long were you dripped on about Arbonne before you actually signed up? And I don't know that any of them were less than a year. And some of them were as long as 7 years. So it just tells me that there's a lot of gold in someone saying not right now or no, and me being able to keep them in my circle of influence, to keep dripping on them, because those are the people that maybe just need to think about it for a while, before the time is right for them. So does that make sense? So I don't know, Tammy, what else you want me to?
I love that. Yes, I think people, it's sort of like they're checking us out, to see if it's something that could be, that they could align with. So again, how we do business, and I've heard Genevieve say this, how we do business is almost more important than what we're, offering. It's just treating people with respect and love and integrity, and just going the extra mile, because that's what people will remember and take away. Kathe, I'd love for you to just touch on how to approach people about the business right now, and why it's so crucial to approach people about the business right now as well.
Well, I think when I'm doing these calls, I really do talk about the business. In the presentation, of course, you're talking about the business and why it's good. in the kind of the discussion time that's after the call, that's where I ask them questions, is where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or would $500 a month more money make a difference to somebody you know? I like to use the somebody you know thing, so that it doesn't put them directly on the spot. Do you know anyone where $500 would make a difference? Do you know anyone who is hurting financially right now? Do you know anyone who has bigger goals in life financially, or to even just do more uh, kind of like things? And a lot of times you'll get, well, I would, yeah, $500 would make a huge difference to me in my life. Or I don't mind asking the question specifically to them about, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? That's a huge question. And then so we can open up that discussion. And like, I have this person that I'm working on in Montana, and she said, do you think I could do Arbonne out here? And I said, absolutely. I said, we have RVPs in Montana. I said, I work with people all over the world. And I said, that's my greatest joy, is to help people flourish in Arbonne in whatever way they are, whether they're as a preferred client loving the products, as a consultant earning a few extra dollars for their family, for food, for a vacation, for whatever, or if somebody wants to go to the top of the company. I said, that is my greatest joy, is to support them and work with them through that process. I would certainly love to help you. So I think my biggest um, gift when I'm talking to people is, I am an introvert, so I don't like to put myself out there. So I found, by asking questions, that I get them to be. So I've become this question person. And if you even follow me on Facebook, you'll see that even when it comes to world stuff, I just put questions out there. I ask questions. Like, I want to know. I really want to know. But that stemmed from, I really just didn't want to. It was my way of getting into a conversation with somebody, and made it easy, because typically people do like to talk about themselves. So if I can put the I can put it out on them, then yeah. So I'll ask them questions. Say, is there a vacation, a special vacation that you would like to take, if you had the money to be able to take it? Or where would, if money wasn't an object, what would you be doing with your life? That's a really good one. That opens up a lot, because you find that people haven't even really thought about it in so long, like since they got out of college or high school or something. So to say, if money wasn't an object, and then you can follow that with any number of things. If money wasn't an object, where would you go on vacation? If money wasn't an object, what kind of house would you live in? If money wasn't an object, what would you be doing with your life? What would you do as a job? Most people say, oh, I want to work if money wasn't an object. What would you do with your time if money weren't an object? So if that money weren't an object, and then you could have any number of follow-ups to that, second parts of the question. If money weren't an object, where would you want your kids to go to school? If money weren't an object, uh, what kind of food would you buy for your family? To me, that's one of the, I love food. Like, I love food. I don't know if anybody on this call loves food, but I love food. Like, I even took myself off to culinary school and went to culinary school so I can love food even more. Like, but I love food. So one of the best gifts that Arbonne has given me, and I actually forget about this from time to time, and then when I remember it, it hits me, and I just am so grateful, is that I go through the grocery store and I buy what I want. I don't look at the price. I don't look at how much per pound. I look at the quality, and do I want this to prepare a dish that I want to make? And that I forget that from time to time, about how most people in America cannot do that. Most people in America have to shop on a budget. And I think I'm so grateful to the gift of Arbonne for not only teaching me even more about nutrition and getting me on this this road to good nutrition. I mean, they really were very instrumental in the beginning um, to help me on this road, but they have given me the funds to be able to like live out my culinary dreams. Um, and just the fact that I can go in the grocery store and not look at how much something costs is to me one of the greatest blessings in my life. So, and I'm not really a shopper. Like, I don't go to the mall. I can't tell you the last time I went to the mall, unless it was going to Williams Sonoma. I like to go to the Williams Sonoma store. Cooking. um, but I really, it just is such a gift that we have to give to other people. So that's a great question. If money were no object, what would be your favorite store to shop in? That's going to tell you a lot about some person. If they say, the grocery store, like that's what I would say. That would be my answer, is the grocery store. Um, Tammy, what would be your favorite store?
I was just thinking, this is such a great post to put out too. Just a question, if money were no object, where would you be traveling right now? What is your favorite store? Where would you be shopping right now? You know what I mean? And just
Right.
to get some engagement on your social media, it's brilliant.
The best thing
Um,
you can do on social media is ask questions.
or what kind of, yeah, food would you be buying, or that kind of thing too. I love it.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah,
great.
that's probably one of the best questions you can ask somebody is, what kind of car would you be driving?
Yes.
Um, would you have, if, or you can even ask a more defined question, like, if money were no object, would you have a second home? Where would it be? If you know, think about how many, I would sit down and say, well, I'm going to have some quiet time and I'm going to write down that question and think of how many questions I could actually ask from that question. You know, what gym would I join? Instead of the 19.99 a month gym, maybe I would join, the high end gym. I don't know. I'm not a gym person, so I don't know much about gyms. Um, my gym is outside. So, um, so does that make sense to ask these questions to somebody that you are talking to on a Zoom or talking to? I cannot tell you how many. This is how I have not gone out to a store other than a grocery store in a really long time. But I would always ask whoever's checking me out. So, you know, is this your dream job? Are you working your dream job? And how many people cashiering at Meyer is going to say, "Oh yeah, absolutely, this is my dream job." Sometimes I get that it's very sarcastic, and then I can say, if money were no object, what would you be doing with your life? And it just starts a conversation, and a lot of times it doesn't go anywhere. I want you to get that. Like it was so funny. I went out with my daughter, and she's like, "Okay, so show me what you do." And so, of course, it puts you on the spot. So you're totally uncomfortable because now you've got somebody watching you, and somebody's so important watching you. So I talked to this cash. We were at Meyer, and she says, "Okay, do what you do." And so I said to the girl, I said, "So is this your dream job?" And she just kind of looked at me and went, "Yeah, right." And I said, "If money were no object, what would you be doing?" And she said, "Sitting on a couch watching television." And I said, "Oh, anything else?" And she said, "Absolutely not. That would be my dream." And I just said, "Okay, there's nothing." In my head, I'm like, "Okay, there's really not a lot I can do with this other than say, well, what size TV would you want?" Type of thing. But Catherine and I walked away, and Catherine went, "That was kind of a dud." And I went, "Yeah, there's a lot of those." And you have to be okay with that. You have to just and not that the lady was a dud, the situation was a dud. There really wasn't anywhere. You could tell she didn't want to be there. She was mad to be there. Um, and she was just one of these really down people. And it gave me an opportunity to talk to Catherine and say, you have an opportunity in Arbonne to choose who you have on your Arbonne team. And we want people who are outgoing and uplifting, and they don't have to be outgoing in like an extrovert, because there's a lot of introverts in Arbonne. I will tell you there are more introverts in Arbonne than extroverts. I will honestly tell you that. So if you are an introvert, you are in good company in Arbonne. But you have to have people that are more open to the idea of being positive. So, and so that's kind of what I told her is, you want positive, you don't want a Debbie Downer on your team. So it's okay to walk away from people and say, she's not for my team. And so that was just kind of a funny thing. And just to know that you're going to get a lot of no's, and that's okay, because you only need a couple of yeses to really light a fire under your team.
Yes, we're looking for people who align with the values of Arbonne, who align with our values, I was just thinking too, another great post would be, when you were a kid, what was it that would have to occur to know you've made it? And I remember thinking, whenever I get to buy my own Smucker's jelly, like get the Smucker's brand instead of the off brand, that's when I know I've made it. Or like the Grey Poupon commercials. Woo, may I have a Grey Poupon? Like, I don't even like Grey Poupon, but it just seemed like something I could, like once I've made it, I can get Grey Poupon. It's so silly, but that would be a great post too, just to put out and just see, what kind of answers people have and kind of laugh about it and then go back and, that's another just fun way to open the conversation around a side hustle.
Well, and that's a good point, Tammy, that's all you're trying to do when you start a conversation is open a conversation, open the ability to have a discussion, and possibly take it to the next level where you get their information and you can now start the dripping on them process. I mean, you're never going to walk in someplace and start a conversation with somebody, and by the time you've checked out at Meyer and you've gotten your receipt, they've signed up to be a consultant and do the business with you. That, and sometimes I think that's what we expect. Like they're just going to fall all over us saying, yeah, I want to be a part of your team. Yeah, I want to do this with you. No, really what you're doing is collecting information, and hopefully you can continue building the relationship. So, I mean, I have a person that's so funny. She's in the mind, body, skin health group. And I met her over non-dairy yogurt at Kroger. And she was standing there like she was totally lost. And I walked up to get some, and she just is standing there like you could tell she was like lost. And I said, "Are you having trouble with something?" And she said, "Yeah, I decided to go dairy free, and I love yogurt, and I just am not sure, blah, blah, blah." So we had this discussion about, I like the So Delicious brand and the coconut and, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I really love it." And I said, I said, "Are you on Facebook?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "I'm in this healthy mind, body, skin health group." And I said, "We're dairy free, and, we try to do some healthy things." I said, "I would love to add you. So you can maybe learn some tips." And she said, "Sure." So we connected right there on Facebook. I added her to the group. She accepted the notification right there at the Kroger Dairy. And like 10 minutes later, we were off on our own thing. So that happened in like 10 minutes. And we're Facebook friends, and we comment on each other's posts all the time, and we haven't done anything. And, I've asked her to meet up with me a couple of times, but it was just as this stuff was hitting, and she's a nurse. So she got all admired in mired and all of that stuff. So, but she's in the dripping process, and I love it. So
I was just thinking about you, Melissa, and how you posted that you were taking fizz sticks to work, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And so then that would be a great follow-up, is to say, I'm in this Healthy Mind, Body, Skin Facebook group,
True.
and so then it's not like, well, do you want to order or not? No, we'll just have them keep creating intrigue. And even me, I've sent out a bunch of samples, and I'm still like working on conversations, but I'm like, oh, brilliant, I can add them to the Healthy Mind, Body, Skin group in the meantime,
Yeah.
before they make a decision or whatever. And then even after, they decide to become a PC or not, or whatever, they're still in that group,
Yeah.
getting dripped on by all different personalities and, points of view.
I like that idea. I'll do
Well,
that.
I do that with a lot of my prospects, because if I tell them, you get a lot of healthy tips, recipes, different things like that, people are like, yeah, add me. They're always looking for stuff like that. And then you have not just you dripping on them, but you have a host of people dripping on them. So it's not like you have to like continually be on with that person.
And it's just about adding value. I remember listening to this, it was like a network marketing, general kind of network marketing podcast. And that's what they said is so important about what we do is we're creating community. And so that's what our healthy mind, body, skin is. It's a community of people looking to just, take their health to the next level and looking for tips and tricks and treats and ideas. I loved all the posts about how to use a product for all these different other reasons. Because it's just creating a community of intrigue and fun, and maybe because of a post they saw, they would order a different product than they're used to. So
I look at the healthy mind, body, skin group as another, I meet somebody, I'm just taking them along this journey to get to the point where they are supposed to be in Arbonne. And in the beginning, I don't know what that point is. So this is a journey of discovery. And so if that mind, body, skin group is a part of that journey to help me get more information. And then I can, if somebody says, if somebody posts a recipe and I know this person is really into recipes, I can reach out to them privately and say, hey, did you see that recipe that was posted in the Healthy Mind, Skin, Body Skin group? I think I thought of you when I saw that. And they'll either say, oh, I haven't seen that, I'll go look at it. Or, yeah, I saw that, it looked really good. And again, we can build this relationship, especially with these people that I'm meeting kind of online or at the grocery store or whatever. Take it to the next level kind of thing.
I love it. I'm sitting here. It's just so fun to be together for these calls because it always makes me, think bigger and think of more ideas. I just had an idea of, is it the 13th today? So we're 12 days away from Christmas. So we personally could do our 12 favorite products. You know what I mean? 12 days of Christmas with our 12 favorite products. And, keep in mind, we're leading up to the 30-day push. So, be sure and add in your Digestion Plus and, fizz sticks and protein and that kind of thing too. But we could personally just give our reasons why we love these 12 products leading up to Christmas. And how fun would that be? Because you're creating a theme, people are following along, and, just again, adding that community piece. So anyway, that's another idea. What about would love to open it up for questions, but also would just love to emphasize that this is double points for AIT this month as well. So not to just sit back and let this month go by. This is a huge opportunity to earn a 5-star vacation for your family. So I don't know if you want to touch on that too, Kathe, and then we'll open it up for some questions.
Well, there's one other thing that I want to talk about as far as the 30 days is December on the outside seems like it's not the month to talk about the 30 days, but it's actually the month where you can do so much for the 30 days. And it kind of piggybacks on what you just said, Tammy, about the 12 days is you could actually take that all the way through the end of the year and say, my thing with December, and one of the things I talked about on the Monday call was a mini reset, where you're not all into the whole 30 days plan, but you're just picking 3 products, the protein shake, a fizz stick, the digestion. No, I didn't even do the Digestion Plus. I did a fizz stick and a tea. So it came to 150 exactly. But when you're talking about these one products is to say, in all the fun and craziness of this month, because it's going to go all the way through New Year, how about doing one good thing for your body? And so that's your product of the day, is do one nice thing for your body. You're taking care, another good line is, you're taking care of everyone else. How about taking care of your gut today? Or you're so busy and you're trying to do so much. Here's one product that I recommend. If you did one thing a day, so you focus on one thing. We used to have this joke in Arbonne that was not really a joke. It was so true. We used to do a lot of vendor and trade shows. We'd set up booths and tables and do stuff. And we used to joke that if we could just get somebody in a hand cream, we could sign them up and get them in a hand cream. They were our customer for life. And literally, I still have people on my team from eons ago, like 20 years ago, who they started off with a hand cream. So it's like, if you just get them in one product, then you have them in this circle of love. Now you can love on them. You can love on them. You can drip on them. You can invite them to the Healthy Mind Skin. You can do all these things. So our job in December should be getting everybody we know into at least one product. Wouldn't that be a great goal? One product. And it doesn't seem like, oh, how much could I get out of one product? Well, guess what? 100 people buy one product, you've got 100 products. And you've got 100 people now in your inner circle of Arbonne. So that's really good. I would probably take it all the way through the end of the year and say, how many days do we have till January 1st and New Year's resolutions hit? How about in the meantime, you're not going to do the whole kit and caboodle, but you can do one thing, or
Yeah.
even a mini reset with a couple of things.
And break it apart. It was interesting because I sort of had a check myself moment when one of our friends asked me, so what is it you actually do in Arbonne? Like, what is this business? And I'm thinking, that's true. I post little, product stories or whatever, but I haven't really explained, like why I'm into this, how it's changed my life, why I'm so passionate and what exactly it is, so I was just thinking about that too. This is a great opportunity because people are like, they're watching, whether they like your post or comment on it. Most people don't, but they're still watching. And it was just a great moment for me. Like, you know what, I just need to go back to the beginning and say why. And kind of like, if you were brand new on a social media platform, and you're announcing yourself, go back to that point and re-announce yourself, re-announce why you're doing Arbonne and what it is and what excites you and who exactly you're looking for and how a side hustle is a brilliant, it's not just my opinion, it's a fact that a side hustle is important, it's valuable in today, in today's climate. So anyway, that was another thing, another aha is like, I need to talk about my why too, with Arbonne. And again, just to create intrigue and conversations, because I promise you, people are looking for what we have. It's just, we have to, we're our own advertising, right? So we have to be able to put it out there. And with repetition, you think, oh, I did a post about that last month. Nope. Do it again, do it again, do it again, because, a lot of people didn't see that one day, so yeah, so those were just checkpoints for me. But yes, I wanted to open up. Does anyone have questions for Kathe or concerns or obstacles you're bumping up against, or maybe conversations you're stuck in, or anything?
I'm just.
I'll go.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, both. Do you want to go first, Mia, and then Melissa?
yep.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm a hairdresser, so I have people in my chair all day long. And I hear so many times people will say things. And as you know, people will say things to you where you go, oh my gosh, this business would be so perfect for them. But I always feel like a little apprehensive to jump in, like, because I don't want to, it's like, there's that line I don't want to cross as, them being my client. I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I don't know how to jump in and approach them with it. Like they're telling me everything I need to hear to tell me that this business would be perfect. But there's that, like, when do I jump in? When do I jump in? And
well, I think the hesitation, Mia, and I used to go through the same thing when I was at my salons. is I would hesitate because I didn't want to go into, I'm trying to sell you something or
Yeah,
whatever. And so that's really when I became the question person. Because if you ask a question, so let's say somebody's sitting there telling you something and you go, oh my gosh, they would be, they really need this business, or they would be so good at this business. Just say, think instead of thinking about what am I going to say to them to try to get them to do what I want them to do, spend your time thinking about what question can I ask them to open up this conversation a little bit more. You're going to feel so much better about the conversation. You're not going to feel stressed. You're going to just ask them a question. And then you're constantly just, what's the next question that I can ask them? It puts the onus of the responsibility on them instead of on you. And if you get really good at asking questions, they'll almost talk themselves into Arbonne.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say you have somebody in your chair and they're talking about what? Give me an example.
Like, oh, my husband just lost his job. I need to find something, or it might be, I'm home, I'm bored, I need to find something to do,
Okay, so let's talk about the one with a husband lost his job. So, okay, so I repeat it a lot. I'll say, oh my gosh, so your husband just lost his job. What kind of work did he do? Okay, that's a really simple question to ask. And maybe you already know the answer to that, but just go ahead and just say, what did he do anyway? And it's like, so how do you feel about that? How do you feel about him losing his job? Well, we're devastated. What is the impact going to be on your family? What kind of options does he have? What kind of options do you have? Have you thought about having kind of some kind of side hustle? Most people haven't, or they haven't even thought of it that way, or they'll say, I thought maybe I'll get a part-time job at Target or something. And it's like, would that give you the flexibility that I know you're looking for? And of course, no, because you got somebody telling you, is flexibility, or you could say, is flexibility in a job important to you? Is being in charge of your own time important to you? Which is kind of the same question, a different way. You see how questions kind of open up a deeper level of conversation?
Yeah.
And now you're not feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to get her to do something. Yeah. Like I always felt like I was trying to get somebody to do something that I wanted them to do. Instead of helping them come to a place where they could make a really good informed decision. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So learn to ask good questions. There's a really good book by John Maxwell. Good leaders ask great questions. Oh, okay. And I started reading that. I started reading it almost 2 years ago in February. It's the book I took down to Carol's when I was down in Naples 2 years ago in February. And I read that book, and it just opened up a whole bunch of possibilities that to get where you really want to go is to help other people get where they want to go. And you do that through asking questions.
Okay. Just order. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome. Yeah. So just get good at, you already are in a caring position because as a hairdresser, you care about other people. So your heart is already in the right place. That's why you're feeling conflicted inside, because your heart wants to help, but you feel like you're pushing them into something. And so by asking questions, it will bring you closer to being on the same page with the person.
That's great.
And it's going to make you feel so much better.
All right, great. Thank you. I'm going to try.
Yeah, good. Melissa?
Well, in piggyback to what Tammy was saying about the fizz sticks I took to work, we do stockings every year in December. We all pick days and whatnot, and they see me drinking it every day anyway. So that's why I'm like, oh, I'll just bring bottles of water and a choice of the 4 different flavors that I have. And I think everybody loved it, but I will go ahead and touch base with all of them and invite them to that the healthy mind, body, and skin. But I also, after doing, and not reference to our daily method of success sheets, I'm actually finally getting responses from people. Because a lot of times I would hear crickets and nobody would talk to me. And even though they saw my messages, and I don't know if it's just because I've changed verbiage or what, but I'm just finding success with getting people to respond finally. So baby
Well,
steps.
yeah, and sometimes it's just timing with people. And I think we get all hung up. They're not talking to us. They're not talking to us. But I realized a long time ago, I don't live in somebody else's brain, wallet, or life.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know what's going on with them. And we tend to assume the worst instead of assuming the best. It's human nature. I don't know. We go down the negative road instead. So, instead of assuming that they don't want to talk to me, they're ignoring me, they don't want to hear what I have to say, just say, they're busy. I don't know what's going on in their life. My job is just to keep dripping for as long as it takes.
Yep.
And I look back
Yep.
to that scene on the cruise with all those wonderful people standing up on that stage saying, yeah, I mean, she talked to me like once a month for 5 years. She sent me a note or a message or a fizz stick or something once a month for 5 years. And most of the time I totally ignored her. And that here I am as a national vice president on the stage on a cruise that I earned.
Yeah.
So to keep a picture like that in your mind is very powerful because you just don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
I
True.
think too, though, Kathe, at some point they were asked, is
Mhm.
flexibility important to you? Would
Mhm.
extra income, make a difference in your life? Can you see yourself doing this for the next 20 years? What you're currently doing. If money weren't an object, what else would you be doing? I think at some point in
Mhm.
that
Yes.
courting phase, they were asked some of those questions. So,
Well,
'cause
and a
that-
great transition question to ask is to say, once you've asked all these questions, is to say, would you be open to the possibility of looking at another opportunity that might give you all of the things you're looking for? That's my transition question. Again, it's still a question, but it starts off, would you be open to? And that question, would you be open to, a lot of people will say yes to, because you're not asking them to sign away the farm. You're just asking them if they're open to a possibility. Would you be
Can
open
you
to
say that again?
would you be open to the possibility of something that might, again, I'm throwing away all these might words, that might give you what you're looking for or be what you're looking for? So would you be open to the possibility of something that might give you what you're looking for?
Love it.
Okay,
I
so
love
that's
that,
kind
'cause
of your transition question. So you have all these questions getting information and helping you become on the same page. And then you ask this transition question. And then at that point, if they say, yeah, sure, then it's either let's get together for a 30-minute conversation. And we can do that on Zoom, or we can do that at the coffee shop. I mean, right now in Michigan, we can't be at a coffee shop.
No.
But would you be then let's get together. At that point, when they say yes, I say, well, then let's get together. Let's do a 30-minute conversation, because I may have something that you're looking for. I don't know. I always come back and say, I don't know if it is or not. You'll be the one to be able to answer that. But after hearing you talk about all these things, I think there's a good chance that it's what you're looking for. Okay, and see how you've transitioned. And then I would do a 30-minute, I would, if if it were me, I would do a Discover Arbonne with them. Or if it was a health related, because sometimes this is a health related, I want to get healthier. I want to do that. I would invite them to 30 minutes to healthy living. If I'm newer, at this and I haven't done a lot, I maybe ask my upline in and say, hey, could you do a 3-way with me and do this presentation with me? But honestly, people know you. I mean, Mia, if it's you, people already know you. They don't know Tammy. So Tammy would have to go through this whole relationship building thing. Sometimes that's a better thing. Like I have a friend who, she's just amazing, but her friends don't take her Arbonne seriously because she's amazing in a different area. So she needs somebody coming that's kind of more the authority. So you have to make a decision. Is this somebody I can do on my own? Practice makes perfect too. You know, Tammy and I have not gotten competent at the presentation just because we are RVP. We got competent because we do a bazillion of them. So you have to start with a few. Does that make sense, Melissa? Can you do that?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Something too that I found, so I started doing the daily method for success sheet in November hardcore because I wanted to get into lots of conversations before my next surgery and early December. So anyway, what I found was by just, you know, reaching out, and I was just like you, Melissa, I wasn't getting a lot of response right at first, but then the more I just stayed steady, I started getting, you know, responses back. What I have now is like 12 to 15 people that I've actually, you know, courted and talked to and brushed on the business. And so I'm taking those people now and going to set aside time to meet up with Kathe, to do some 3-way Zooms with them to hear more about the business. And so that's something that you could do too, is just filter out the people who are, you know, who are prime candidates to talk to you about the business. Use some of this verbiage and let's get on Zooms, you know, and you have Sherry, you have me, you have Kathe. So
Yeah.
we can all work together to help people just, you know, again, have a bigger vision than maybe they've had for themselves and what this business could be for them.
I would say a good rule to have is if you're doing a healthy living, do it yourself if you feel at least a little comfortable with that. If you're doing a Discover Arbonne, bring in an upline.
That's a great advice.
Okay.
Because with the Discover Arbonne, you know, when we're talking about the comp plan, when we're talking about the trips, or we're talking about that, you've got people who have actually been there, done that. They're driving the car, you know, that kind of thing. So the healthy living, we all have our testimonials to that. So that's kind of my little rule.
Yeah,
So.
I love it. And something so profound, you guys, is about doing these 3-way Zooms and stuff is, I mean, Kathe has earned a lifestyle income with Arbonne for 20 some years. I mean, that is extraordinary. You think about all the businesses out there. Is your friend who's doing Pampered Chef, have they earned a lifestyle income with Pampered Chef for 20 years? Like, I don't know people who are doing what we're doing and who have the leadership that we have in Arbonne that have just been around for so long. Carol too, I mean, she's probably pushing around 25 years of earning like lifestyle income. This is amazing. So I love that. Plus she's a business owner. I worked as a nurse. So just to bring in someone who's owned a business to talk to Kathe, they're going to listen to her more than me, who I've never had a brick and mortar, you know? So utilize us. I guess that's what I'm saying is we are a community. We're all here to help each other. And that's the thing. We all want to help people get what they're looking for. And then we all win, you know?
So win-win, remember? Win-win. That's what we want.
Yes, I love it. Any final thoughts? Do you want to add in anything, Brenda? Any takeaways or?
No, just hearing about dripping on those that you have been connecting with. And I have several of those, and just, you know, a lot of, you know, not right now, but thank you for the information. So just, you know, reiterating to just keep dripping on them, because someday they they're listening. Like you said, Kathe, they are listening. They might not be responding, but they are listening. So that was so encouraging to me, because, you do hear a lot of no's and you hear, or a lot of ghosting. So it's just, nice to hear that it's not just, on me. So it's everybody goes through this. So that was very encouraging. So thank you.
And for those people that you're talking to, remember, we can take them into the Healthy Mind Body Skin group just to have.
Yes, and I have several that as she was talking about that, I'm like, I never even thought about that. So yes, I will absolutely be doing that.
We have to ultimately remember, we know more than they do about Arbonne. So we know the benefits, and they're just like, they talk to the hand kind of thing. I mean, I said no to Arbonne for 4 years, or almost 4 years. I was even using some of the products and loving it, but the business I didn't want anything to do with. And nobody gave up on me. Like, so that's what we have to do, is we just don't give up. I don't give up on people. I just don't give up on people, because I have more knowledge in this area than they do. So
awesome. Thank you.
And remember, the other thing is we have to be in this for the long haul. This is a marathon for us. This is actually an ultra marathon. I don't know if you guys know what those are, but that's kind of on my goal to run one of those someday. 150 miles. That would be so awesome. Anyway, but we're in one of those. This is not a sprint. So we can't say, oh my gosh, I lost that 100-meter race. Sucks for me. I'm out. That's not what it is. We're in this for years and years and years. I'm going to do this till I die.
Yes.
So I'm in it.
And this, again, let me just put a disclaimer out there. My business, Kathe's business, is not typical,
Right.
but it's possible. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, like, I get emotional because I remember being right in your shoes. In 2013, I was a district manager. I'd been a district manager for 8 years or whatever, just dabbling. I'd never fully committed to Arbonne and giving it a chance and putting it in my schedule. I just had never done that. I did it when it was convenient and sometimes. And in 2013, I made a decision and said, I'm closing the back door. I don't care how long this takes me. I'm going to do it. And you guys, I didn't know what the journey would look like. I didn't know who would join my team. I didn't imagine any of you. You weren't even in my, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know you at all. But I just started, and I just got in the habit of Arbonne and put it in my life, put it in my schedule, and just decided I will until. And I didn't know back then, that first year, I earned $6,000 total. That was my, 1099 with Arbonne for taxes in 2013. In 2014, our team promoted to area, and that entire calendar year, I think I earned around 18,000 with Arbonne. Didn't change anything. I was still doing the same thing. It's just people were coming in. The third year, 2015, or actually, it was 24 months total, but 2015, we promoted to region, and that calendar year, my 1099 was 48,000. Now, oh my gosh, it's just like I'm brought to my knees daily. Like, I'm so grateful that I started, because now we're pushing 6 figures for this year, and it wouldn't have existed if I didn't just start, with what I had, with who I knew, with staying consistent, with just doing it, not knowing how it was going to turn out. I just knew that there were successful people who had gone ahead of me, who it had worked for. So why wouldn't it work for me too? Plus, I was so afraid of staying the same that it pushed me to take a chance and take a leap of faith. So I just want you to know, like, we all start right where you are with the network that we have, and it's enough. It's enough, and it's worth it. It's worth it just to get through the nose, to just keep going, to meet new people, to just keep putting out positive energy into the world, because that's attractive, and it will eventually attract your team. So,
well, and I want to give some kudos to Tammy too, because I was around in those days and I watched her, and she made a decision that she was going to do something at her house every Tuesday night, that she could invite guests. And she did. I mean, every single Tuesday night for years, she opened up her home to, and like we would have to do it on Zoom now, but she opened up her home, and some weeks she didn't have anybody show up, and she would call me and say, nobody showed up, but I'm going to make phone calls instead. And so that was her time, Tuesday night. Okay, then I'm going to make phone calls to invite people to next Tuesday night. Okay, there was one, I remember she called me one Tuesday afternoon and she said, oh my gosh, I think I have 25 people coming up. Can you come over? You know, and so this is when she lived down here, or I'm up here, down where we live, southeastern Michigan. And so I said, yeah, I can come over. And so she had 25 people said they would come, and one person showed up. And so, but it ended up being a physician, and it was like perfect that we were all three there and we had a great conversation. But the point is that she just did it no matter what. Every single Tuesday night she committed to her business. And then I watched as her business grew and she brought other people into her business. Then they started bringing people to her Tuesday night event. And then they started bringing people to her Tuesday night event. And before you know it, she had this great team growing. But it started out very rough. I mean, there were many, many nights when no one showed up, but she spent that time on the phone instead, just inviting for the next week. So kudos to you, Tammy, because that's why you are here, because you worked through all of those Tuesday nights where it's like, dang, I don't even know if I'm doing what I'm doing is working or gonna work, or you just got to push past the doubts.
It's true. And know that it's worth it. And this is every entrepreneur's story. It doesn't matter if you're an Arbonne or not. Every entrepreneur has this story.
Yeah.
Aw. Well, I just love you, Kathe. Can you give us one because of Arbonne and we'll sign off?
Because of Arbonne, I'm sitting up here in Higgins Lake and I am not worried about anything that's going on. Yeah. Arbonne has truly given me the life of my dreams. I just absolutely am so grateful.
I love it. You just gave me goosebumps. It's beautiful. And I want everyone to have that.
Me too. Which is why we do what we do, because we want everyone to have this.
That's right. Love you guys. I hope, was this helpful? Was this a good call for you?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, love it.
I loved it too. Thank you so much for being with us, Kathe. We'll have you again because I feel like we need to dive into the whole questions now. That was so insightful. I took 2 pages of notes, so thank you so much. Love you, lady. Love all of you.
Love you.
Thank you all. Thank
and remember,
you all so
we
much.
still have pumpkin protein. We have coffee protein. We have the blood orange fizz stick still. Oh my goodness. And someone was just asking me about the Pampermint set. Is that still available, Kathe? I don't know either. So anyway.
I think it's come in and come out and now it's back in again for a little bit. Not sure.
Okay. Anyway, we still have products. So yeah, let people know there's still so much to be excited about this month. All right. Love you.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Love you guys. Bye.